50 Cent filed for bankruptcy while still making millions. Have you ever seen a man go broke on purpose? Most people file for Chapter 11 when they lose everything, but for Curtis Jackson, it was a calculated response to a legal ambush. While Mike Tyson's story was a tragedy of losing control, 50 Cent's story is about a man who realized the system was about to crush him and decided to use the system's own rules to fight back. He chose to look like a failure to the world so he could stay a winner in the boardroom. How does the man behind Get Rich or Die Trying survive a $30 million nightmare? Today, we're performing a financial autopsy on the coldest hustle in hip-hop history, the equity hustle. To understand 50 Cent, you have to realize he never wanted to be just an artist. He approached the industry like an investor. He knew that a salary is a temporary loan, but ownership is a permanent seat at the table. In 2007, he pulled off a deal that changed how celebrities make money forever. Instead of taking a $10 million endorsement check for vitamin water, he made a move that confused his peers. He asked for a piece of the company. He became a minority owner, turning a colorful drink into a global lifestyle symbol. When Coca-Cola bought the brand for $4.1 billion, 50 Cent's gamble exploded. Estimates place his pre-tax windfall between $60 and $100 million. After the IRS took their cut, he was left with roughly $55 million in liquid cash. This wasn't luck. It was the realization that owning the brand is more valuable than just being the face of it. He used that capital to move into clothing, electronics, and spirits. But as his assets grew, so did the number of people looking for a way to take a piece of them, the image tax. However, the same image that made him rich became his greatest liability. In his world, luxury isn't a reward, it's a business expense, the image tax. To maintain the legend of the invincible mogul, he bought Mike Tyson's former 50,000 square foot mansion in Connecticut. It was a 19-bedroom monster that functioned more like a hotel than a home. But the maintenance was brutal. Between the landscaping and a small army of staff, it cost him around $70,000 every single month just to keep the lights on. His lifestyle was a fortress built on brand recognition, requiring armored vehicles and constant high-end jewelry. Unlike Tyson, who spent on impulse, 50 Cent's spending was a deliberate marketing cost. Every diamond chain was a signal to the market that the brand was winning. But even he had vulnerabilities. He wasn't invincible. He was becoming a magnet for lawsuits. In the eyes of the law, he was a walking gold mine. And by 2015, the diggers were coming for him. The Courtroom War. By 2015, the pressure reached a breaking point. 50 Cent had always treated the courtroom like a contact sport. But for the first time, the system had him exactly where it wanted him. He was hit with two massive legal blows. First, a $7 million jury verdict for a privacy violation involving Lastonia Leviston, a sum that was later settled for $6 million in the bankruptcy proceedings. Then, a massive $18.4 million arbitration award over a failed headphone deal with Sleek Audio. Combined with other liabilities, he was facing over $30 million in immediate debt. It looked like a potential wipeout. For the first time, he faced the real risk of losing control of his assets. But he realized that being rich on paper was exactly what made him vulnerable. If he stayed wealthy, the courts would simply seize his accounts. He needed a way to freeze time. Just days after the Leviston verdict, he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. He walked into court and performed the role of his life, claiming the gold was rented and the cars were borrowed. As he later told reporters, "When you're successful, you become a target. I don't want to be a bullseye." It was a desperate reaction to avoid a total collapse. The Shield. The bankruptcy was a strange piece of public theater. While telling a judge he was broke, he was posting photos on Instagram with stacks of cash in his refrigerator. When the judge demanded an explanation, his lawyers argued the money was prop cash used for branding. He was telling the court that looking rich was the only way to keep his business alive. But bankruptcy provided a functional legal shield. It triggered an automatic stay, which froze all lawsuits and stopped creditors from seizing his property. He wasn't broke, but he was making himself uncollectible. He used those 18 months to reorganize his companies and negotiate. By the time the dust settled, he agreed to pay back roughly $23.4 million. It was a structured plan that let him keep operating, and because he eventually paid it off early, he officially exited bankruptcy in 2017. The Reconstruction. 50 Cent adapted faster than the system could trap him. While the courts were looking at his past, he was already focused on the future. Television. He signed an overall deal with the Starz network, which in potential was worth up to $150 million, to produce the Power universe. This wasn't just a show, it was a multi-series franchise that made him one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood. He also finally offloaded the Tyson Mansion in 2019. He sold it for $2.9 million, a loss of $1.2 million compared to his purchase price. To a man who obsessed over profit, that loss was a bitter pill, but it was the price of freedom. He traded a massive monthly burden for a lean, high-margin studio business. He moved his operations to Louisiana to take advantage of tax breaks and stop being a rapper with assets and become a producer with a studio. He proved that in America, you can use the law to protect your future, as long as you are willing to look like a failure in public while you rebuild in private. The reality check. Today, 50 Cent's net worth is back in the $100 million range, but he's a different kind of mogul. He doesn't need 19 bedrooms anymore. He needs 19 distribution deals. He proved that sometimes the best way to stay rich is to let the world think you're down to your last dime. He took a legal disaster and turned it into a brand-building masterclass. He wasn't a genius who saw it all coming. He was a shark who knew exactly how to swim through a legal net when it closed. Survival is often more important than winning. It doesn't matter how you look, it only matters what you own when the dust settles. Lessons. What can we learn from the 50 Cent autopsy? First, equity is king. If you only take a paycheck, you are a worker. If you take the stock, you are an owner. Second, bankruptcy is a tool, not a death sentence. It's a way to hit the reset button when the game is rigged against you. And third, never confuse the show with the business. 50 Cent knew exactly where his character ended and his company began. He was willing to be humiliated in court to stay powerful in the boardroom. Sometimes survival is more important than winning. Respect your money, understand the law, and never let them see your real balance.